Good morning. This is Doreen with ThoughtStorm Journal. I want to talk a little bit today about self-love. The idea of self-love takes time to grasp. Loving yourself is not something most of us are taught. We're taught to do what we're told. When we're children, we actually have the natural inclinations to do things that are loving to ourselves. But we're often led away from those things gradually in order to meet the expectations of others. And we kind of inadvertently learn to neglect ourselves in the process. We actually learn that we're supposed to do things that make other people happy. And we learn that this is the most important thing because it is the most important thing when we're children. We need to do those things in order to get along. But in the process, we learn that being selfless and worrying about others' wants and needs more than our own is actually the correct thing and is considered noble. And that helps us survive our childhoods, but when we grow up, it can cause emotional problems. When we start having emotional issues as adults, we're told things like we just need to love ourselves more. But we don't have a clue what that means. So if you have trouble with self-love, you're not alone. Basically, self-love is a process of learning to see ourselves as someone who's worth loving. And we can do that by asking ourselves in every moment, what the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? What's the most loving way I can treat myself right now? And live every moment of your life in that energy until it becomes automatic. But when you really think about what it will actually take to actually love yourself in that way, it becomes a whole lot more complicated. Especially when we stop dwelling on the surface stuff and start getting down to the bare bones of what it all really means. So I want to tell you about the missing piece of this puzzle. Self-love is the hallmark of spiritual awakening. You aren't fully awakened until you learn to love yourself and honor yourself. And from listening to others talk about it, we can come to think that self-love is easy. Just take that hot salt bath, take time out for a round of golf, take that fishing trip, go ahead and buy those new shoes, go ahead and have one cookie. Spend the day at a spa, etc. And all those things are good, but there can often be this big dark cloud hanging over the whole process. And that has to do with our overall state of consciousness as we're trying to be loving to ourselves. The process of self-love has an undercurrent, because in order to love yourself, really love yourself, you have to start waking up and seeing what you haven't been seeing. And this can get very uncomfortable. You can do all the things you need to do to take care of yourself. You can opt to have therapy, learn to meditate, learn yoga or Tai Chi, practice gratitude, all that stuff that's necessary to become grounded and more happy. But in order to really embrace the idea of self-love, you often have to do the most difficult thing, or the thing that seems impossible, or the thing that other people will criticize you for, or even ridicule you for. Sometimes the observance of self-love comes in the form of doing the most uncomfortable thing you can imagine doing. It could be ending that relationship, a marriage, or some other kind of partnership that's draining the life out of you. It may mean to abruptly quit that job that's been killing your soul for years. It can mean cutting people out of your life that you've known for years that are keeping you from growing and evolving. It can mean letting go of an old habit or vice that's keeping you in a vicious cycle every day. You may have to opt to stay out of relationships and be single for a while and learn to really be alone. Or sometimes it's just letting go of an idea you've held about yourself for a long time that's keeping you from truly loving yourself. But that thing you've been denying or simply haven't seen is probably the most important thing you need to do in order to be really loving to yourself. So you can do all those little things to treat yourself better, and that's good. But it's possible that one thing you're in denial about, or that thing you've been putting off or trying not to think about, is probably the thing you need to do to really love yourself. And that's why many people just never get past this point. They never make it past the stage of trying to have gratitude for all they have when they're still in the middle of a toxic situation that really needs to change. Self-love means seeing what you haven't seen or haven't wanted to see, and to not care what other people may think about it. Self-love means that this time, you think about everything your soul is screaming for the most.